education. Here to talk a little bit about education is Tonya Holloway with her ninth speech, Educating for a Successful Future. Tonya says she hasn't conquered her fear of anxiety yet, though you never know if you're listening to her. But she gains confidence each time she completes a speech, so that's slow but incremental change.
With a show of hands, how many of you remember your grade school art or music teacher? Mine made a big impact on me. My elementary art teacher's name was Miss P. And coming into her class, she would greet you like Mrs. Doubtfire. Hello! And welcome to art. And then I had Miss Hamilton, my music teacher, who had a great appreciation for Bach and Brahms and instilled that in us. And those stories that she told us about those wonderful composers still live in me today. I remember that, not through a book, not through TV, not through movies, but through Mrs. Hamilton. It's great that our topic today is change us. That's what I'm asking from you. And unless we do, our children, your grandchildren, will not have those stories to share if we don't keep art education in our public school system. Every student from preschool to post-secondary should have art education in their schools. And to ensure basic education, art education, it must be included as a serious core subject with qualified teachers, proper facilities, and materials. We should build an alliance between school districts and community artists, as well as their centers, to strengthen art education. And most importantly, in order for art education to survive, it must be adequately funded at the district and state levels. Why do we need arts in our schools? There have been tons and tons of studies showing that art education improves academic achievement. It strengthens critical thinking. It allows our kids to think outside the box, to not just see things in black and white. It promotes school attendance. Just like that athlete only comes to school so he can play football, he only participates in class and does his best so that he may be able to play football, so will a child who loves dance, who loves music, or visual arts. And if that child is in school only because they have that outlet at some point in time of the day, then they're going to be in those other classes as well, and something might seep in a little better than that child wandering the streets, because school is not fun. It's not a fun environment. It evens the learning field across the socio-economic boundaries. Schools that have been impacted by art education leaving are the schools in low economic to middle class homes. And the schools that are in a more wealthy environment, they're able to privately fund high qualified programs to come into their school. Art education should not be determined by the neighborhood in which you live. All children should have this privilege. It deters delinquent behavior and youth at risk by engaging them in after-school programs. I've learned this firsthand. The theater company I had in Dallas, one of our major things was to go be a part of after-school programs and bring poetry and creative writing and drama to schools, even to kids who were on probation. Instead of picking up trash on the side of the street, they were in our class. They thought it was going to be easy, clocking their hours and leave, and it was like pulling teeth. But some of the best poetry I've ever read came from those students who were the most reluctant. And through those classes, we broadened their awareness. And through that awareness, develops a more appreciation and understanding for the world around them, and creates discipline and self-pride in a job well done. Some of the problems that we face is the reason why art education is leaving. We live in a time of scarce resources. And more parents, teachers, and administrators want to know what is the essential needs for our children to know and experience in order for them to become productive, competent workers in the 21st century. One of the great debates that's going on now is the debate over the NCLB Act, No Child Left Behind. And until I did my research on it, I didn't realize that in the beginning, no matter how much I'm a little against it now, in the beginning, it stated art education as a core subject. When it came into effect in 2002 and was mandated across the nation, funds did not follow as quickly as they mandated each state to put this into effect. And therefore, states started dipping into our education fund and dispersing it into other departments they felt were more important, starting the demise of art education in our schools. And because of budget cuts and because they took out of those art education funding, our PTA organizations such as that, are having to be the sole proprietor to help keep art education alive by doing tons of fundraising that is exhausting for parents, teachers, as well as students. We should not leave that up to the organizations. They should contribute, but we should not leave that solely up to them in order to keep it alive for our kids. Now, I know you're thinking, how can I help? How can I help? Well, I'm going to give it to you 5 steps. First thing, contact your school district and find out when they are having their school board meetings to discuss education budgets. Identify your opportunity. Ask at what point will education funding be discussed during the school board meeting, and jump right on in there with ready, prepared questions. Discern fact from rumor. Before you give your presentation, do not step to that mic with hearsay. Gather information beforehand so you may address those appropriately and not waste time on the hearsay. And prepare your speech. Gather as much information you can so you may have a short but effective presentation. Question the school board about some of where they're sending their funding, a lot of it being to the superintendents. There are some superintendents that are making as much as $300,000, and yet there is no art education in their district. That's a little upside down to me. Challenge that board to take some of that money and put it into the arts. President Obama stressed the need to possess 21st century skills, and that's exactly what art education provides. Help schools transmute into a more creative environment by protecting, advancing, and bringing awareness the importance for all students to have art education. Madam President.